Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison365 with your daily update for today, which is July 29th, Thursday, the 29th of July. I cannot believe another month has nearly gone by. The news today on the coronavirus front continues to be not very good. It's not terrible yet, right? Because what we're seeing is a surge in cases, which by itself is, not great. But until we see it translate into a surge in deaths, we kind of hold off, right? Let me give you some numbers, and then I'll tell you what I mean a little bit more by that. Today, we're reporting 899 new cases. That brings our daily average to 556, which apparently is, sorry, let me, I'm trying to find DHS tweeted this today, that it is, the 7-day average is double what it was a week ago and 8 times what it was a month ago. Should we say that again? The daily average of new cases in a 7-day period has increased 800% in the past month. Now, number of cases is not the best measure. Like, you don't want to hang your hat on number of cases, because number of cases depends on the amount of testing, etc. But that said, an increase of 800% in a month is bad, no matter what numbers you're looking at, no matter how you are getting those numbers. Now, I'll pause here and say, as we're talking through this, you guys are probably, for the most part, pretty well educated on this stuff. But if you have any questions, drop them in the comments and we'll get to them. That's why I do this live, so that I can hear from you what you want to know. The more concerning number is the 7-day average of positive tests, which is now 5.8. Now, we wanted that, we got that below 3.0, right? You talk to public health folks, they'll tell you 3.0 is where you want to be, below 3.0. And we got there for a couple months. We were below 3.0 from May, like mid-May, all the way to like last week. On the 19th, we were at 2.7. And 19th of January, barely over a week ago, it was a 2.7, and it has spiked to 5.8. That's the worst. That's what makes it worse to me. Not only is it going up, it's going up fast. Now, that 5.8% also compares pretty closely. It's actually surpassed last year on July 30th. It was 5.6. I'll mention why I'm mentioning that, and I'll also give you a grain of salt on that. Last year, things got really good in June. In June, we were right around 3.0% in June of 2020. Right, things were feeling better. There was no vaccine yet, but there were mask mandates. Everything was kind of closed. School was out. Most activities were outdoors, and things were feeling better. Right around July 4th, we started to see more cases. We saw 700 something cases on July 4th last year. And things just went up from there. And we remember what happened in September, October, November, complete crisis. Right? So even during this little surge in the past few weeks, what we've been seeing is that things were worse than like a week ago, but were still better than a year ago. Right? We can't really say that anymore. Like, the positive test rate right now is higher than it was a year ago, right before things went to full crisis mode. Now, here's the grain of salt. There was a lot more testing happening a year ago. Alliant Energy Center was open. The community testing sites in Brown County and in Milwaukee County were open. People, like, just everybody was getting tested all the time. A lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people were getting tested all the time, whether or not they had symptoms, which means you have a lot more negative tests. Right now, the people getting tested, for the most part, are either those who are getting tested all the time, people working in healthcare and education and frontline type stuff, and people who have symptoms. So yes, right now, it's the proportion of people getting tested who are testing positive are just more likely to actually be positive, because we're not just taking kind of random samples the way we were last year. So 5.8 now is not quite as bad as 5.8 a year ago. Still, 5.8 is bad. Like, I don't want to beat around that bush, okay? Now, this has led to an increase in hospitalizations. We remember from last year that you see a surge in cases. About 2 weeks later, you see a surge in hospitalizations, and 2 weeks after that, you see a surge in deaths. Today, I'm sorry to report, we are seeing a bit of a surge in hospitalizations. And we are not, at the moment, we're not right now, we're not like talking about overburdening the healthcare system. We're not talking about turning people away. That's not what we're talking about. We have to get to several thousand. I think last year we had like 4,000 something before we started to worry about that. Right now we're at 223. Now that is significant, not because of the number, but because of the increase. That's 28 more than yesterday. Yesterday was 195. It is 72 more than a week ago. Let me do some math really quick. So a week ago, oh man. A week ago we had 151 people in the hospital. Today we have 223. That's a 48% increase in people hospitalized over 1 week. I'm going to say that again. Over the past week, our hospital population of people hospitalized with COVID infection has increased 48%. Again, that doesn't overburden the hospitals necessarily, right? We're not there yet. That's not the point. The point is that this surge in infections is causing severe disease at, seems like, about the same rate, very similar to last year. There was I had some optimism, and I still do have some optimism, that that the infection that's happening now, the increased infection, is happening among unvaccinated people who tend to be younger and therefore less susceptible to the severity of the disease, right? And also people who are vaccinated and still testing positive, which happens. If you're tested regularly every day, like if you're a healthcare worker and you're vaccinated, you're tested every day, there's a reasonable chance, not a very big chance, but a reasonable one, that you test positive with never having a symptom and never even being sick. In which case you could test positive and never get sick and not go to the hospital, in which case you'd be counted as a positive case, but then never be counted as a hospitalization or a death. I'm beginning to lose that optimism. It does seem that this disease, this surge in cases, is causing severe disease and therefore will cause death. And that it's reasonable to infer that of the 899 people that were infected today or that were confirmed today, 9 of those won't make it. 9 of those people will be dead in a month. Yesterday we had 700 and something. The day before that we had 983. That's what, 27 people? 25 people that we're probably going to lose in the next month. Cross your fingers that my optimism holds up and that we get that the infection is in younger people who are less vulnerable to death, and that hospitals aren't overtaxed and they can actually take care of folks better, and that the healthcare system has learned to cope with this disease more. I will say that at this moment, vaccines have not caught up, are not increasing. Like, we're still getting more vaccinations done than new cases. We're now at, we're at 556 new cases per day, but we're at almost 5,900 doses of vaccine per day. Okay, so the vaccinations are still winning the race, if you want to think of it that way. That's still not enough. We're still at 50. Sorry, I'm scrolling. 51.8% of us in Wisconsin have gotten one dose, and that's the entire population. Okay, not just the eligible population. And 49.3 have completed the series. That'll probably jump as soon as younger kids are eligible, but it's just not enough. There's still 3 million people who have no immunity, no protection other than their own natural immune system. So a lot of fertile ground for Delta variant to spread, and a lot of opportunity for this to continue to get really, really bad. You remember last fall, we were 30 deaths a day, although by winter it was 60 deaths per day. I think it's possible that we could head that direction again. So that's why the Dane County, the CDC, I would hope the state issues some recommendation as well that recommends, they can't mandate because of the Supreme Court, but recommends that even if you're vaccinated, wear a mask indoors for the time being. When you're like out at this shopping or at school or even at work, if you work around other people, especially if you are in regular contact with unvaccinated people, right? I have 2 kids who are unvaccinated because they're not eligible yet, not old enough. So I could go out and pick up some Delta variant, which is 1,000 times more potent than OG COVID in terms of viral load. And I could pick that up and not feel it, never get sick, but there's so much virus that I could come home and pass it to my kids who have no protection from it. So I'm going to mask up when I'm outdoors, when I'm out in the world, not outdoors, but out, at indoor places, public places. That's the recommendation. That's going to help us weather this, get through this. What's going to not only help us get through this, but actually end this is to get more people vaccinated. So if you haven't got around to it yet, please do. I really think a lot of this is complacency. A lot of this is, some of it is resistance. Some of it is access, but I think a lot of it is, I know I got to get around to it. I'll get around to it. I will. So if that's you, if it's merely inconvenient for you and you just kind of haven't got around to it yet, now's the time. Now is the time. All right, that is all the COVID news. Sorry to be a bummer, but I want to give it to you straight. I don't want to make it seem worse than it is. I don't want to scare you. I'm not that kind of journalist. I'm not trying to get clicks and views. I always get more people watching when the news is bad. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give you bad news just to get more people to watch, right? That's not what I do. When the news is good, I'm going to tell you it's good, even if nobody watches. And when the news is bad, I'm going to tell you honestly that the news is bad. And today the news is bad. But there is other news in the world. It is there's other stuff going on in the community, and I'm going to talk more about that in 15 seconds. So don't scroll away. Give me 15 seconds. I'll be right back with more news from Madison and from around the state right after this.
Hi, my name is Megumi. I serve at AmeriCorps because it is the perfect opportunity to work with middle school students and to grow in important skills such as leadership, responsibility, and communication. You can serve too. Learn more and apply at www.passamericorps.org.
All right. Today we have the 4th of our 5 segments of our Native American Power List. So the 24 most influential Native American leaders in Wisconsin. On the website today, we have the fourth Deborah Thundercloud, Christopher Kilgore, Angela Miller down here on the lower left from my alma mater, UW-Platteville. She's the chief of staff there. Go look at it, read it, scroll it, get to know those folks. They're folks from all across the state. There's one interesting thing. We do these power lists of all different groups of people, right? We have the Black Power list, Latino list, Asian American list, Native American list. And the Black and Latino ones especially are kind of concentrated in Madison, Milwaukee. And these folks are from the entire state, all the way up north, all the way down to Kenosha, Racine, all the way over in Platteville. So it's a good list. There's folks you should know. So take a look and get to know those folks a little bit. Cultivarte Colectivo is a new artist collaborative that is having their first ever Latinx art fair on August 28th. I'm going to say this, I got to say the name of it correctly because it's important, but it's the Mother of the Earth Art Festival. And I can't remember what the Spanish is for it. I'm sorry. Give me one more second. Okay, here we go. Cuentos de la Madre Tierra. Stories of Mother Earth, not Mother of the Earth. Stories of Mother Earth. Cuentos de la Madre Tierra. Festival de Arte Latinx. It's going to be in the parking lot of Sherman Avenue Methodist Church. Organized by Cultivarte Colectivo. Our reporter, El Malik Anderson, spoke with the organizers, Araceli Esparza, and some others about the importance of this, about what it's going to look like, what it's going to be, what's going to be there. So circle you that date on your calendar and give it a look. Also, today we have a story about the Proteja Wisconsin program, Protect Wisconsin, from the Latino Chamber of Commerce. This is the Latino Chamber of Commerce is trying to help businesses open safely, right? Reopen, which means getting vaccinated, which means social distance, which means there's very specific things you can do to be very vigilant as you reopen your business. Latino businesses, especially, were hit hard by the pandemic, as Latino people were. So the Latino Chamber has this to help their member businesses open and survive this whole thing. So Malik Anderson again with that story for us today at the website Madison365.org. If you've been with us for a while, you know Sabrina Madison, Progress Center for Black Women founder. She got to talking with some folks, and they were kind of like, kids get to take field trips, right? When's the field trip for the grown-ups? So she organized one. So this Saturday, the Progress Center for Black Women is taking a group over to Milwaukee for the day to Sherman Phoenix, which is a fantastic facility. There's 40 businesses in there, most of them Black owned. They're going to go to a plant store. You can become a plant parent. Going to do all sorts of fun stuff in Milwaukee. Angelica Ussery has that story for us. If you want to go on that trip, they're still taking names. And you go to Madison365.org, find this picture, click it, and all the information is there, how you can become part of that trip. Also today, Deshaun McKinney, 2017 graduate of the University of Wisconsin, is out with his first book of poems. It's called Father Forgive Me, and it's all about generational trauma and forgiveness, which is an important thing to think about, talk about, and to approach it through poetry. Very ambitious, very difficult, but it should be very good. He's actually won a poetry prize this year. All that information is on the story at Madison365.org. And finally today, Madison East has a new principal. Sean Levy has been associate principal at Central High School District in West Osha, which is like, as the name suggests, west of Kenosha. He's been there 10 years. And he is coming to replace Brendan Kearney, who left for a leadership role in another school district. We basically just got the announcement from the school district today. We are going to arrange for a conversation so we can get to know Mr. Levy a little bit better. Madison East, of course, one of the largest and most diverse schools in Madison. All right. That is what I have for you today. If you are, if you value this news, right, I would suggest and I would commend to you the FAM, which is our new membership program. It is, I got to, I do this every time. It is, you can join for $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month, whatever you want to do. And that makes you a member of our fam, and that supports the work we do. We have always said the news is going to be free at Madison365. Now, we're never going to charge for the news. However, we are going to pay journalists a proper fee, right? We're going to pay them properly. We're going to pay our professional journalists properly. We don't do unpaid internships. We don't do volunteer journalism. The journalists that we hire are professionals, and we pay them as such. Our executive staff is all, professional. We don't have very much overhead. We don't pay for an office, anything like that. We pay to keep the website up. We pay the journalists. So any donation you make goes straight into the journalism. Like, it really does. So if you could pay for a subscription, please do voluntarily so that we can keep the thing going and growing. Anytime, just click it. It's a two or three clicks and you're done. And you'll never miss the $5. Right? All right. That's all I have for you today. It is a beautiful night out, much less chaotic than the weather last night. So please enjoy it. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe out there. Get your masks on. And we'll be back here again tomorrow. Have a great night.
This is 365 Media.